the fallout then to Shabana Mahmood's proposals yesterday, getting tougher on immigration. The fallout is kind of mounting, lots of opposition, as you would expect, actually, against some of these proposals. Did you back her suggestions?
No, I didn't. And it's been interesting to see many Labour MPs opposing Shabana Mahmood because they think she is far right, or they think that this is somehow a toxic response to the border crisis, when in reality, while I actually appreciate Shabana Mahmood's attempt to try and push the Overton window a little bit more in the direction of common sense, the blunt reality, as I've said on this show many times before, is that until we leave the European Convention on Human Rights, until we repeal Tony Blair's Human Rights Act, we are not going to be able to control our borders. And the idea that this is somehow similar to what Denmark has done. Remember, Denmark itself has been held up by the European courts when it's tried to put in place these hardline policies. This is not the answer to the border crisis. It's why 10,000 people have crossed since Shabana Mahmood's appointment. And the small boat crisis will continue until we regain control over our own laws. It's that simple.
Let me just remind you, in case you had a long sleep and you missed it all yesterday, the Labour's reforms, these are what they're planning, making refugee status temporary, making them have to potentially therefore return if indeed their country is deemed to be safe. Moving, the current period is 5 years, they're extending that to 20 years potentially before you can get settlement. Overhauling the Human Rights Act, as we've just been hearing, not leaving the ECHR but tinkering with it, using AI to verify the age of these migrants. This one was one that got you guys talking yesterday. The introduction of safe and legal routes, what does that look like? And the visa bans on those three nations. I've got to tell you, those three nations that combined had sent the sum total of about 1,400 people, if that. So, I mean, I found that one quite interesting. But anyway, did you support your Home Secretary on these moves?
Totally support. Very surprised, Matt. I, of course, support leaving the ECHR or scrapping the Human Rights Act, but this is the most significant shift by a Home Secretary in 60 years. You're kind of trashing it. And the other thing I want to dispute you about is about democratic this and that. Every government has to act. Not everything could be laid out in a manifesto, so there's a completely legitimate space for action. But to get back to Shabana, I think this is just the beginning of the move. I really, really genuinely appreciate her political courage, the way she took the argument to the Labour Party and to the House yesterday. I haven't seen someone so dominant in the House of Commons really since Thatcher. It was a genuinely strong performance. I would expect, Michelle, a little bit of generosity of heart from you.
But can I just come back in on this? The reason I'm frustrated is because of all the people in the country who have been sold one gimmick after another. We've had Rwanda, we had one in, one out.
I get it.
We had smash the gangs, all of that. Here's what I want to hear from Shabana Mahmood. What's the limit on the cap for safe and legal routes that she's going to introduce?
Hello, I'm Bev Turner. Now, it can feel like the money in our bank accounts at the moment does not keep up with the cost of living, and maybe there's a solution. I'm here today with the CEO of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. Cameron, what is TallyMoney?
Well, Bev, with TallyMoney, you get a current account and a debit card, but instead of pounds, you use milligrams of gold as your everyday money.
So why gold?
Gold traditionally is a great store of value. It has, on average, gone up at over 11% per annum for the last 25 years against the pound. It's tripled in value in the last decade. And in the last 2 years alone, it's increased by 50% against the pound. Banks' savings products just can't compete with that level of growth.
But this isn't just about gold. This is about a currency that you guys have created at TallyMoney. Explain it to me as though I'm an idiot.
So, look, people need to be able to hold their earnings and build their savings in a money that retains its value and remains in their legal control and remains theirs to access, away from government control.
Great. You had me at not exposed to government control.
You should feel safe and happy with your money. You should have peace of mind the more money you see in your bank balance, and that's the type of thing we're trying to deliver and give people choice in the type of money they get to use every day.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Cameron. Thank you.
How many people are going to be included in these new work and study routes? How many people are coming over from Gaza with this new student scheme? There's a lot of loopholes here that I think Labour MPs are going to exploit to bring in more people from outside this country through the back door. What I want is a strong democracy that's responsive to people, to voters, to citizens, and that means regaining control of the borders, and that means leaving the ECHR, so Articles 3 and 8 can't be used to block deportations.
Yeah, so it's Articles 3 and 8 that she's going for, but I agree with you that the overwhelming likelihood is that they won't budge on it, in which case the logic of her position is in order to do her job effectively, we're going to have to leave. The point is there's been a significant change of direction here that I really appreciate. And before we start jumping up and down and talk about the loopholes and what she hasn't done, I'd like a little bit of appreciation of what she has done in a context of intense hostility.
This is where partisan differences come in, right? Because I will never thank the Labour Party. This isn't about Shabana Mahmood. This is about a Labour Party that are simultaneously accusing, for example, reform of tearing the country apart, having presided over open borders, two-tiered justice, the imposition of asylum hotels, calling everybody far right, calling everybody racist. I think probably if I were to have a pint or a meal with Shabana Mahmood, I'm not sure if she drinks, I don't know, but I would imagine, actually, we'd probably see eye to eye on some issues. But I would still be there saying deep down, I bet, if you got her late at night, I bet she would say, you know what, even this, however tough it is, this isn't going to deal with the issue.
Quite. So I think this is an opening move. I really do. But what's significant to me is the direction of travel. I think that's really significant. And secondly, as a patriot, we've got 3.5 years left of this government. I'm not just going to slag it off all the time. I'm going to play a constructive role trying to move it in the right direction.
I was quite impressed with some of the things that she had to say and some of the tone in which she was using. I have to say I was quite impressed when I saw her rebut some of the ridiculousness that was coming her way.
That was funny.
She was quite funny, actually, and she was quite good. However, for me, I still feel the opening gambit was in the wrong lane because, to me, whilst she was making welcome moves and steps in the right direction, her starting position was very much Britain is an open, tolerant country. So, yes, we still want migration, but just how do we do it better? And when I was speaking to my viewers last night, lots of them get in touch during the programme as they are now. Many people's starting position, actually, Maurice, is no, we don't want to be an open country anymore. We've had enough. The numbers have gone too big. The culture has changed too fast. Our surroundings, our fellow people, the rate and pace of change is too much. So, no, we want our starting point actually to be to shrink people coming in, the numbers of people coming in, not to be standing on this platform where the starting position is open, tolerant, in you come, but let's just bring you in better.
Absolutely. So Matt could bear witness that I called for a freeze on immigration in 2011. If you remember, that didn't go so well, but that was true. And I agree, but there's two distinctions. I would like to see a much more closed immigration system, but I think it's the glory of our country that we're a tolerant country. I make a distinction between openness and toleration. I don't want to see violence on the street. I don't want to see racial hate. I want to see solidarity rather than diversity. Michelle, those are my positions. So I think that just to talk to your viewers directly, I think Shabana is the most significant politician in this cabinet, and to keep your eye on her.
Martin from Taunton says, Michelle, I am convinced the Home Secretary is lining herself up to be the leader. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but the problem with all of that, just briefly, is it's like saying Robert Jenrick is going to save the Tory party when everybody who knows the Tory party knows that the Tory party is dominated by One Nation liberals who won't allow somebody like Jenrick to reshape it.
Shabana Mahmood.
Yeah, sure. Well, either way, globalists, whatever.
Yeah,
Shabana Mahmood, as you know, being a friend of hers, you know she is still sitting in a party, a structure, a Labour parliamentary party that will never allow that party to meet the average voter on immigration.
You know, this is really academic talk. You're talking about never. You'll be amazed what politics is like. Shabana Mahmood, I say to everybody, is a sovereigntist, not a globalist. That's the really interesting thing about her. And she is resolute on restoring effective state power and control. The Immigration Act is called Order and Control. That's her commitment. And this sovereignty is a traditional Labour Party position. Ernest Bevin, Clement Attlee, Hugh Gates score. You know the score. This is traditional Labour position. I hold that position, and I want to see the restoration of my party as a tribune of the working class with trust. There's a long way to go, but for the first time in my parliamentary life, I saw a significant shift yesterday.
Well, don't worry, the conversation will continue. Richard says, Michelle, my question is, where is Keir Starmer? Jeff asks exactly that same question as well. He's in Berlin. I'm not even kidding. He's in Berlin as we speak.
First
Make
we
of that.
take Manhattan, then we take Berlin.